Dennis Horton. He's the director of the Rockford Regional Office of the Better Business Bureau. Dennis, good morning to you.
Good morning, Riley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can't you get into fall with weather like this?
This is absolutely beautiful. It was a great walk this morning.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. Fitness-minded as well. See?
Well, I only live 4 blocks from the office.
Car wouldn't start. You know, the usual reasons for walking. Sure, we got that. Well, as always, we get together with Dennis, and he gives you some great tips, some great advice, some great information that can help, protect your identity, keep money in your pocket, keep you from having to go through a lot of time and trouble getting things straightened out. One of the topics up for discussion this morning, Cybersecurity Month.
Yes, Riley. It's an annual thing, and during Cybersecurity Month, it's a time for us to all take stock on what we're doing while we're online and making sure that we are protecting ourselves when we're online. And that really does extend especially to children.
Yeah.
Because as I've read and come to learn in the last couple of weeks, actually, about the numbers, it never crossed my mind that by age 12, about half of the kids in the country are on some form of social media. And I probably was not the brightest 12-year-old, so I would have probably gotten myself into a lot of trouble.
Oh, we've talked about
online.
that as well. You know, when we were younger, I'm grateful every day that stuff wasn't around, that there isn't some photo that you're worried that, you know, someday that's going to surface. Man, that's going to be a problem.
Yes, and so kids really need to be careful online, and parents really need to make sure they know what their kids are doing online. I know that's something that we say all the time and parents have heard all the time, but it is particularly important. One of the things that we talk about very often is identity theft, but we never think about identity theft and children. And those crooks look for children's identities, so that because they know that there have been no credit checks, they're a clean slate, and there probably won't be any credit checks for years to come. And if a kid goes online and tells a lot of information about themselves, they can end up providing information that opens them up for identity theft. And because, again, there won't be any credit checks, or they won't be applying for a new car loan or anything like that for years to come, they won't know that this has happened.
That is that's remarkably ingenious, because, you know, for a grown-up, you're going to use that. There's going to come a time for an identity check. There's going to be time for a credit check and all that. When you're a kid, all of that stuff is years in the future, so it's just, well, why don't I just use it now?
Exactly. You know, we teach kids, you know, don't take candy from a stranger. Well, those same strangers are lurking out there on the internet, and they're looking to do harm. So parents need to be very aware of that and make sure that they do check, the credit checks, look at their kids' credit reporting history to make sure if they have a Social Security number, even though they may not have an account anywhere that you are aware of, just go online and do the check as you would for yourself, just to make sure there isn't anything out there lurking and something bad hasn't happened.
And, you know, you're not intruding in trying to find out what your kid is doing online when your kid lives in your house that you pay for. So, you know, don't let that be a stumbling block. This whole, well, it's a privacy issue. No, not at that age, it's not.
Right, and you know, and they will create sites that will attract kids. So it's very, very important that parents are aware of what's taking place.
Yeah, keep that one in mind. Facebook online quizzes.
Yeah. When we were talking about this a couple of days ago, and I said, you know, I think we ought to bring this one up when I talk with Riley. We all see those quizzes. If you were a dog, what kind of dog would you be? Or,
right.
You know, or you're looking for love. These are the things that you need to know. These all seem pretty innocent.
Right.
But we really don't know always who is behind that quiz that's online. We don't know if it's a scammer who has posted this quiz. We don't know exactly what information they're looking for. We don't know if there are links embedded in that quiz. When you click on it, you don't know where what you're opening up behind the wall, as the saying goes. So think twice before you start using those quizzes. You might be whiling away a few hours, but you also might be opening yourself up to providing information to scammers who are out there lurking.
Now, I've never taken one of those. I'm not a real Facebook guy, but you have to give up some information in order to take part in this?
In some of the quizzes, yeah, they ask you what seemed to be, pretty basic information about yourself. They may ask you before you can take the quiz what sitcoms you watch, or whatever. What bank do you use? Those sorts of questions come up. And it's not just scammers who are using these quizzes to gather information. It is marketers who are trying to find out more about you so that they can pinpoint advertising to you. So there's nothing free on the Internet.
No, it may seem like...
You give them information, they give you a quiz, and they want something.
Oh, sure. And, you just think about it for a minute. Wait a minute. Where's anybody gaining from putting all this work in for me to just goof around here a little bit? Well, there's your answer. There's a chance that they're looking for some of that personal information you have that could be a great benefit to them.
Exactly. So, you need to be we need to be a little more protective of ourselves when we're online. We need to be more skeptical before you take the quiz. Figure out who created it. Is it a brand that you trust? You might want to adjust your privacy settings, because when you're taking that quiz and it's posted and it's going to all of your friends, they too may fall victim to the same thing that may get you into trouble.
I hadn't even thought about that. And as someone who always dreaded hearing the word quiz when I was in school, I never, developed any affinity for going after them once I graduated.
Exactly. So, it might be fun. And, I don't want to say the sky is falling, but during Cybersecurity Month, it's a good time to talk about all those things that are out there that we are doing online, and making sure that we are doing it as safely as possible.
Yeah, because the alternative is very expensive, very time-consuming, embarrassing, and all that goes along with that, too.
Really, that's absolutely right.
And part 3, Medicare enrollment scams. Boy, these never stop, do they?
They never do, and I wanted to highlight the fact that the Medicare annual enrollment period starts in just about a week, and truly, scammers do watch the calendar, and they know when these things must be done. So they will begin to make phone calls to seniors out there. I can say us seniors out there now, because they're going to be trying to trick them into providing information, the personal information, or signing them up for an insurance program that may not be what it's cracked up to be, or it may be fraudulent in its entirety. So we just want to make sure that that seniors know that there are no Medicare sales representatives. If somebody contacts them suggesting that they are from Medicare, it is a scam.
Oh, okay. See, being just a hair younger, I haven't messed with that yet. But I didn't realize that. No salespeople at all. That's not how that works.
It's not how it works. And you may get a phone call from an insurance company that sort of suggests that enrolling in Medicare Part D or Medicare Advantage plan or something like that is mandatory. That's not true. It's false. You don't have to do it. You may need to, but it's not mandatory.
Okay. And, and that's where the confusion lies. And I would imagine, especially for people who are going through this process for the very first time.
Yes, it's going through that whole process and trying to figure out what's the best supplemental policies to get. It's kind of complicated. So if you find yourself with questions, contact the Social Security office and ask them for information. before you find yourself into some kind of trouble.
All right, yeah. So as you mentioned, and that's really something to keep in mind too, that scammers watch the calendar.